Hi everyone, and welcome back to another Floof and Feathers comic drawing video. If you watch some of the more recent videos from October, I was doing more one-panel comics for the month of Inktober. I know towards the end there, I didn't get to do as many of these drawing videos as I had originally planned to. Just some stuff came up. Not going to get into details, but even though I was putting out drawings, I wasn't able to get as much time to uh, upload and record audio for some of the actual drawing videos. So for that, I do apologize. But anyway, we're back on a regular weekly comic schedule now, so should be much more regular content with some of these comic drawing videos coming out. So anyway, with that out of the way, getting into it, this week's new comic was something that I called Jurassic Squawk. This was another one starring Olivia. You can already see it's kind of getting some dinosaur inspiration there. You can see from the footprint, which that will actually, once I start doing the inking and coloring, that footprint will disappear. But you can see it there, the volcano. And then what's coming up here is going to be a very, very badly drawn dinosaur. Even for an outline, it's not great. And it's funny because this was an idea that I had, because I mean, we like to say that Olivia is our little dinosaur. We call her a velociraptor. It's one of many nicknames for her. Just very fitting. So I figured it'd be funny to, I can draw a comic with her pretending or imagining that she's a dinosaur. And then I just jumped right into it, not remembering the fact that, I don't think I've ever actually tried to draw a dinosaur before. Well, actually, no, that's not true. I know that I have um, drawn dinosaurs before, but it has been a very long time. I probably, oh God, probably more than 15 years since the last time I actually attempted drawing a dinosaur. Um, and even then it was basically just kind of a very exaggerated stick figure animal with little T-Rex arms, probably. So yeah, nothing like this. So that was an interesting idea in the moment, kind of having that realization of, oh, do I actually know how to draw a dinosaur? But that's all part of the fun of doing these weekly comics is just, learning and teaching yourself as you go in the moments. Just dive right in, go for it, and just try to have fun with it, even if you don't always really know what you're doing. Kind of like me, but that's all part of the fun. And you'll see the end product is something that is not it's not terrible. I'm pretty happy with it, all things considered. And then, of course, you can see the final sketch there. Olivia in a little dinosaur Halloween costume, having stolen all the Halloween candy. Um, I do want to say also, anyone who is familiar with Calvin and Hobbes, I know I've talked about that series before. Um, Calvin and Hobbes and Bill Watterson. That was for me a huge piece of inspiration from my own early childhood with developing an interest in comics and just kind of drawing in general. That was I would cite that as probably one of the biggest early sources of inspiration. So even this comic with Olivia, I will say, uh, took very heavy inspiration from actually a Calvin and Hobbes strip. Again, where you see, the age of the dinosaurs and all that setting, and it centers on this dinosaur bursting forth hunting, and then you see Calvin in a dinosaur Halloween costume, and he's just shoveling his face just full of all his Halloween candy, and his parents are telling him, "Hey, don't eat out all that at once. You're going to be sick." And he's like, "No, but I'm a dinosaur. This is Halloween. I earned all this candy. I'm going to eat it." So kind of taking that Calvin and Hobbes idea and just reimagining and tweaking and adjusting it to fit with Olivia and her imagination and her whole kind of aesthetic. So again, even now, all these years later, still uh, taking inspiration from places like Bill Watterson and Calvin and Hobbes. So big shout outs to Bill Watterson. I know there's probably absolutely no chance he's going to see this, despite the fact that, funny enough, he actually lives nearby. Bill Watterson is actually a pretty relatively local artist to where we live. Um, but yeah, even that being the case, there's probably absolutely no chance that he'll see this video or even read my comic series, and I've kind of made peace with that. But on the off chance, Bill, that you do happen to see this, just big shout out to you and all of your work. Anyway, so you can see up in that other panel, I decided to do away with the dinosaur footprint and just made it kind of a general puddle, and then we'll put some ripples in the water. And you can already see between the original outline sketch and the actual inking of the dinosaur here in the third panel, it already looks, in my opinion, a lot better, especially with the eye and the overall shape of the mouth. It doesn't look before it kind of had the look of like a an alligator kind of rearing up on its hind legs a little bit, which I mean, okay, we know, okay, crocodiles and alligators are, they are dinosaurs in a sense. That's where they came from. We know that they are modern day dinosaurs, uh, but it's not quite the right kind of dinosaur, uh, look that I was going for with this. I wanted it to look a little bit more, oh, what's the word? Conventional, I guess, in terms of what you would imagine a dinosaur being. So kind of rounded out the head a little bit more, gave it a little bit more shape. So even though, again, I will fully and readily admit to the fact that I do not know how to draw a dinosaur, as I think is very obvious. The end result is something that I am actually pretty happy with. All things considered, it's definitely not the worst. And then we'll go ahead and clean up the final panel here with Olivia in her little dinosaur costume. And you can see whenever I'm drawing them wearing some kind of accessory, like here, a dinosaur hoodie here, or if Finn or Pippin are wearing a hat or a helmet or something, some other kind of accessory, I will always just draw them regularly first, and then on a new layer draw or sketch and outline the accessory over them to make sure that it actually fits properly on, kind of the standard model for their body image that I use. And that way it's not just like this giant oversized hat on them that doesn't really fit. I'm just making sure that everything fits right and that it's all the right shape. And you can also see in the final inking here on Olivia, I actually just made it a full tail coming off the back of the costume for the dinosaur. I feel like before it almost kind of gave off. You couldn't really quite tell exactly what it was, so I thought adding the tail and the little spikes on the back of the head and down the back kind of made it a little bit more obvious that okay, this is going for the look of a dinosaur, kind of what I'm going for. And it's unfortunate. I actually I wish that we could get Olivia to wear Halloween costumes. It would be really funny. Um, the only trick with that is twofold problems. First of all, I don't know that they really make a lot of bird-sized pet Halloween costumes. Yeah, I know that we've seen them for dogs and cats and everything, but I actually haven't really looked for birds. And part of the reason for that too is because I don't think she would wear one. Um, she's not really an accessories person. We're working really hard on trying to get her into a hat. I don't know if she would do a full Halloween costume. So here for coloring, doing kind of a sunset color for this shot. So what I always like to do is just do three or four colors that, like a dark red to an orange to a yellow, and then just use that blending blurring feature and give it kind of that dark red sunrise color. And we'll go through on the volcano, do all the shading, do some lava. And this was easy, just made it a nice bright red and then added a little bit of orange accent to it and give that just a light blending, make it look like some running lava. But yeah, I wish we could get Olivia to wear a Halloween costume. I think it would be funny. It'd be really cute. But I don't know that she would go for that. Just kind of based on experience. She also has like a pet harness and leash, kind of like what you would have for a dog to take them for a walk. She has one for her to go outside. Um, she absolutely hates it. She actually almost seems a little scared of it. Not sure why. It's really unfortunate because I mean, especially around here when it's really nice out in the summer, it'd be really great to be able to take her outside and just sit on the back porch with her. Um, but she she doesn't really seem to want to have anything to do with it, and of course, and we are not going to force it on her and traumatize the poor thing, just trying to get her to do something she doesn't want to do. So we've just kind of accepted that. But that being the case, yeah, I don't see her putting on a Halloween costume anytime soon, especially not something like you see in this video with the full like dinosaur pajama onesie. I don't think that would work out. And you can see there those leaves filled in red because I noticed the outlining wasn't fully closed up, so all that red from the background kind of blended in. So I had to go through and make sure I closed those up before I tried to fill them in with green, or else that would bleed out and just fill the entire background with dark green, and it would undo the sunset that I had drawn. So just, keeping an eye on things like that as I finish coloring. Now moving on to the second panel, we'll go ahead and make this actually look like a vibrating puddle of water, which surprisingly not as difficult as I thought it would have been when I first started doing this. I wasn't entirely sure how I would do it, but I had an idea in mind, and I think it actually turned out pretty well. You'll see here in just a sec after I finish texturing the rocks here. So I did for the puddle was I just got a very, very pale blue, almost a white blue, and then Procreate, nicely enough, it has a pen for kind of calm water effect. So I just went and brushed that over with some white, and then kept the white color, got a thin pen, and just drew some squiggly circles around on top of it, and that easy enough end result for all intents and purposes, it looks like a vibrating puddle of water. So very simple, but gotta say, very effective. Pretty pleased with how that turned out. And then same for the dinosaur here in panel three. If you don't feel like drawing a million scales all by hand, there is a texture pen uh for it kind of looks like scaly lizard skin. You can see there when you zoom in a little bit. And funny in the final comic, when it's just in its full image, you can't see too much in the way of fine detail on that, but I think it also would have looked weird if there wasn't any kind of texturing. So definitely helps. And then just went back through and just did the shading with a much darker shade of green with a little bit of black in there, just to again give it that kind of visual 3D pop as much as possible. And then don't color it all yellow, just color the teeth kind of a dingy yellow. There we go. And then add a nice bright, vibrant yellow to the eye as well. And then finally, just moving on to the final panel, get the wall and floor details. And then I mentioned it before, but something I always like to talk about when I'm coloring in the wooden floorboards. I know Procreate it has a wood grain pen that you can use. Um, it's one of those preset texture pens that I actually I gotta say I really don't like it that much. I've never that one specifically I've never quite managed to get the hang of, and it always, at least when I've used it before, it just kind of looks really a little too artificial. Not really what I'm going for. So whenever I'm doing wood grain like that, I'll use kind of just a medium shade of brown for the base, and then get a darker shade of brown and actually get the dry paint pen and set that to a size like between 5 and 10, depending on the size of the canvas you're working with, and just give that quick little straight brush strokes. That, in my opinion, makes a much more realistic wood grain effect. At least in my opinion, from my experience, I found that works really well for me. So again, just if anyone is looking for some tips on doing wood grain patterns with Procreate, that's what I always do, and I think it works really, really well. So, just a little bit of free piece of advice for you. Do with that what you will. Just throwing that out there. And then we'll go ahead and just add the yellow onto. Yeah, I originally did that as yellow, but um, it gave. Yeah, if anyone remembers the old Rugrats cartoons, the green dinosaur onesie, when it had the yellow down the back, it gave off vibes a little bit too much of Reptar from Rugrats. Uh, and I wasn't worried about like any kind of copyright infringement or anything, but I don't want to. It's not the vibe I was going for, so I decided to just undo that and go with a dark green instead. But anyway, so you can see here, here's the final Jurassic Squawk comic. You can go ahead and read this in full, as well as all the other Floof and Feathers comics on my home website, which is floofandfeatherscomic.com. You can find links to that in the description below, along with access to my social media if you want to follow along and say hi. If you want any to browse for Floof and Feathers merchandise, or visit my online art store. Links for that are below as well. You can also sign up to do commissions for custom pet comics of your own, or any other custom art of mine that you might like. And finally, just want to say Floof and Feathers is also on Patreon. If you want to help support the series that way, you'll get access to lots of great bonus features and exclusive behind the scenes content. So definitely worth checking out if that's something you're interested in. But with that being said, really just want to say thank you for sticking around, watching another drawing video. Hope you enjoy these and reading all these and future comics, and I look forward to seeing everyone again next time.